Hello and welcome to the Miami Sports Report. I'm your host, Sean Fowler. On today's show, it's award season for the Dolphins as we present the first annual Miami Dolphins TMSR Awards, or the Shawnees for short. We also recap the week for the Heat and the Panthers, and recap the David Beckham press conference. Let's do it! Thank you. Thank you. Welcome to the 2014 Shawnees, where we present the awards for the best, worst, and most memorable things about the Dolphins' 2013 season. We don't have a lot of time, so let's just jump right in here. Our first category is the best moment of the 2013 season. Here are the nominees. The first nominee is beating Atlanta in Week 3. It capped off a 3-game season-starting winning streak that included back-to-back wins over teams that, at the time, were seen as serious Super Bowl contenders in Indianapolis and Atlanta. The second nominee is the Dolphins' 22-20 victory over the Bengals on Halloween Thursday Night Football. Cameron Wake's safety sack of Andy Dalton in overtime was perhaps the most gasp yay, to coin a phrase, moment of the season. And the third nominee is Miami's Week 15 24-20 victory over the Patriots, finally snapping the Pats' win streak over the Fins, keeping their playoff hopes alive, and even outside chances at winning the division. Thank you. And the winner is 24-20 over the Patriots. Anything that happened this season aside, this was definitely the season's highlight. Finally beating Brady and the Pats, showing that the Dolphins can compete with them. That gave the game a special meaning that went beyond any of its, at the time, playoff implications. And from highlight, we go to lowlight. Here are the nominees for the season's worst moment. The first nominee is the Week 7 27-17 loss to New England. It extended the Dolphins' losing streak to 4 games and was 2 straight losses following the bye week. The season seemed to be spiraling as the Dolphins fell far short of the Pats, the watermark for the division. The second nominee is the Week 10 22-19 loss to Tampa. Monday Night Football against a winless team, it seemed this would be a chance for the Fins to look really good. Instead, they handed the Bucs their first win of the season. The third nominee is the Week 17 20-7 loss to the Jets. The Fins had risked their season by losing to Buffalo in Week 16, but still had hope. They got the help they needed from the Bengals, but laid an absolute stinker at the worst possible time, eliminating themselves and ending the season with a thud. Thank you. And the winner is losing in Week 17. There's actually a note here that says it was surprisingly close between losing in Week 17 and losing to a winless Tampa team. The difference was that the loss to the Jets at the end of the season had everything on the line. It was a win-and-get-in game for the Dolphins, and they didn't. Now, yes, if they had beaten Tampa Bay, they probably would have gotten into the playoffs as well. But the Week 17 game is the game where it was officially all on the line and where the Dolphins laid their biggest egg. All right, it's time for Team MVP. Let's take a look at the nominees. The first nominee is wide receiver Brian Hartline. In a season where the Fins brought in a big-name free agent at wide receiver in Mike Wallace, it was the Fins' returning receiver that made the splash. Hartline had a 1,000-yard receiving season, and even if there were only 4 receiving touchdowns, he was always a factor in the game. Our second nominee is quarterback Ryan Tannehill. Tannehill improved mostly in his second year with a 60.4 completion percentage, 24 touchdowns with 17 interceptions, and nearly 4,000 yards passing. The third nominee is punter Brandon Fields. Fields single-footedly kept the Fins in games by pinning the opponent's back. 48.8 yard average on his punts, 33 of 85 punts inside the 20, 7 touchbacks, and 13 fair catches. He was the deserving Pro Bowler, and his strong punts even helped Team Sanders in the Pro Bowl this year. Alright, if you've been watching the show, this will probably come as no surprise. Thank you. The winner is Brandon Fields. It's a picture of the Dolphins season to say that the team's MVP is the player whose sole job it is to give the ball to the other team. But I don't say that to downplay his performance. Remember, Fields was one of only 2 Pro Bowl punters in the NFL this year, and his punts constantly kept the Dolphins in football games. This is an award that is well deserved. At this point in our award show, I'd just like to take a moment to point out that all of our results have been tabulated by the accounting firm of Twaffle and Pillows. Once again, going from the good to the bad, here are the Dolphins nominees for LVP, or Least Valuable Player. The first nominees are the Dolphins running back tandem of Lamar Miller and Daniel Thomas. Replacing Reggie Bush may have been a monumental task, but it's one that these two failed to accomplish. The two together only managed to about equal what Bush did in 2012. Neither of them managed to become the man, leaving the Fins without a solid answer at the position for next season. The second nominee is the entire Dolphins offensive line, and for the record, we are not including the bullying, but not really, scandal in this. It's simply performance or startling lack thereof. Ryan Tannehill was sacked 58 times, blasting past the record for Dolphins sacks allowed in a season. They can also be blamed for the lack of success in the running game that was just mentioned. The third nominee is Dion Jordan, who may come to be known as Jeff Ireland's last mistake. The Dolphins swung a draft day trade, actually a really good one in terms of what they gave up, to move all the way up to number 3 to snag Jordan. However, Jordan had trouble performing well enough to stay on the field on a regular basis. He finished the year with only 26 tackles and 2 sacks. Thank you. And the winner, loser, is the entire Dolphins offensive line. The sacks that they gave up and their lack of run blocking killed the Dolphins offense time after time after time. Here are some awards presented in an earlier ceremony held off-screen. Strangest Dolphins decision goes to keeping the head coach and hiring new coaches before finding a general manager. Best new name to write headlines about goes to new offensive coordinator Bill Fire Up the Lazor. And the Nobody Becoming Somebody award goes to Vice President of Football Administration Dawn, what? She's a girl? Aponte. Congratulations to all the winners. Well, with the 2013 season all recapped, all of the Dolphins' job openings filled, and a little while until the NFL draft, the Dolphins are now going to drop out of the show's permanent lineup for a while. Just like with the Marlins, if there's any big news that pops up about the Dolphins, we'll be sure to talk about it. And don't worry, the NFL free agency period begins on March 11th, so the Dolphins won't be out of the show for long, rest assured. Whew, alright, with the award show over, I can slip into something a little more comfortable. It's morphin' time! Saber-tooth tiger! Close enough. Well, since I morphed into a Panthers jersey, let's talk about the Panthers. First of all, our congratulations to Steve Goldstein. The Panthers play-by-play announcer has once again been selected by Westwood One Radio to work all of Team USA's games, as well as the men's and women's gold medal hockey matches. With the Olympic break looming, the Cats were hoping to close strong and build some momentum for the stretch run of the season. Let's see how they managed to do. The week started with the Panthers getting another crack at the Maple Leafs, who they lost to 6-3 about a week ago, this time in Sunrise. Nobody scored in the first, but Tom Gilbert opened the scoring early in the second. In the third, Jesse Winchester scored to extend the lead to 2. The Leafs scored a few minutes later to narrow it back to 1, but Sean Mathias scored to put it back to 2, and Marcel Gotch added an empty netter to seal the deal. Cats win 4-1. Then it was another matchup with the Red Wings. The Panthers got off to a good start with Scotty Upshaw scoring right at the end of the first period, giving the Cats a 1-0 lead. But it was downhill from there as the Wings would score the next 3 goals, winning the game 3-1. The Panthers finished the pre-Olympic schedule on the road in Carolina. They found themselves in an early hole as the Hurricanes scored the first 2 goals of the game, before Nick Bjugstad found the net for his 13th goal. but the Canes would score one more in the first, another in the second, and another in the third. The Cats fall 5-1. Not a great end at all for this section of the season for the Cats. 2 straight losses by a combined 8-2 leaves them with a record of 22, 29, and 7 with 51 points. They are going to need a furious finish to get back into playoff contention. So remember, the Panthers are now on the Olympic break that runs from February 8th to February 26th. So until the Cats come back, Team USA, men's and women's, are going to be our hockey team. Starting next week, we'll have reports on how those teams are doing skating for gold. Alright, now let's go red hot and talk about the Heat. The Heat were gearing up to head out west, but started the week at home. Let's take a look at the Heat lights. The Heat began the week at home on Monday facing the Detroit Pistons. What a comeback for Dwayne Wade, who led the Heat with 30 points. LeBron was right behind him with 24, and Chris Bosh added 17. It was another weak night for the bench as Ray Allen led them with 9. However, the Heat played enough defense to win the game 102-96. The next game took place 2,732 miles away as the Heat started a West Coast swing in LA taking on the Clippers. The Heat spread the scoring very evenly as all 5 Heat starters had at least 10 points. LeBron led the way with 31, and Ray Allen had 15 off the bench. The Heat had to withstand a Clippers surge in the fourth quarter, but they held on to win 116-112. The Heat were then off to Utah to go jam with the Jazz. This was one of those rare off nights for the Heat. Dwayne Wade led the Heat, but only with 19. LeBron James and Chris Bosh both scored 13 points, one of James's lowest totals in a loss. Norris Cole scored 12 off the bench. The Heat's defense almost did enough, but the Heat failed to hit 90, losing 94-89. Listen, no need to panic. Every team has a bad night now and then, and the Heat still have a sterling record of 35-14. Here's a look at their schedule for this week. Tomorrow, the Heat face the Suns in Phoenix at 9 p.m. Eastern. The very next night, they take on the Golden State Warriors at 10:30 p.m. And now for the Miami Soccer Report. On Wednesday, a big press conference was held at the Perez Art Museum within seeing distance of David Beckham's preferred Port Miami Stadium site. Beckham, MLS Commissioner Don Garber, and Miami-Dade Mayor Carlos Jimenez were all there in order to make a big announcement. Now, do you remember when I said this? Oh, and an early word of warning, when MLS announces Team Miami, that news is going to lead the show. So just be ready for that. So then, Twackle, why are we putting this news at the end of the show when I said it would be at the beginning? Well, I'll tell you. As it turns out, this news conference was kind of missing the news part. While Garber and Beckham did confirm that Beckham has purchased his expansion team, nothing is set in stone yet about establishing in Miami. There's literally nothing written in stone just yet. No stadium site, no financing plan, nothing. I find myself wondering why they even bothered to have this press conference. The only thing that I can think of is that since Beckham did say publicly at this news conference that he will not ask for any local money, that he simply wants fans to call up their commissioners and pressure them to get the land deal for the stadium done. So while this announcement was nice and it was fun and we have official confirmation that Beckham wants to put his team in Miami, we still haven't gotten that final word. We're still waiting for that absolutely official confirmation. And when we get it, I'll say it again, it's going to lead the show. Here's a quick final note. Miami is a city in the United States. So there's a stretch of credibility in reporting on the results of the Olympics on the show. I already mentioned that we will be covering Team USA for hockey, but as far as covering the rest of the games, I could make that connection. I still haven't quite decided if I'm going to include an Olympic segment in the show. If I do, it'll probably be really short and really probably just focus on medals. That is going to do it for the Miami Sports Report. Thank you so much for watching. Please help our show grow by clicking that like button right down below the video, leaving us a comment with a suggestion or a question, and sharing this video with all of your friends that love sports and love Miami sports. Make sure to look us up on Facebook and Twitter. Once again, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate every single one of you that are taking time out of your day to watch these videos right now. Please enjoy Bumbles and Fumbles, the blooper reel, and until next time, go Miami and Team USA. 24-20 over the Patriots. And I forgot the rest. And it was a win and get in game for the Dolphins, where the Tampa Bay Dagnabbit. VP. Here are the nominees. Really? Really? Sticky record button? In the middle of an award show? In the middle of an award show you want to do this? Well, since I morphed into a Panthers jersey, let's start with the Panthers play-by-play announcer has been selected once again by Westwood One Radio to cover all of Team USA's hockey games. To work, man. And the Heat still... I really do appreciate everybody that takes the time to watch these videos. And, There you go,